Welcome to the testing of my World Development Indicators project. Test 1. The welcome form is outputted. Successful. The welcome form has been outputted. Test 2. When the new database is created, all the data in tables are called and stored in it. Creating a new database. We're loading from the web. We've successfully created a database, and we're creating the tables and populating them at this point. And here we've got a database called myTest1, and we have all the tables with the correct attributes. Test 3. 5 options available for user to select. As we have here, 5 options available for the user to select. Test 4. The user can only select one option, and the code doesn't break. Select one option here, and as you can see, we cannot select another one. Test 5. When selecting one country in 2 indicators, the correct form is outputted. So, as we can see, we have a form that allows us to select a country and 2 indicators. Test 6. For option 1, the axis is labelled correctly and links, and the link to the correlation site also works. So as we have here, both axes are labelled correctly. And this link to the correlation site also works. And test 7 was also a part of test 6, inputting life expectancy and inflation GDP deflator. Test 8. When selecting 2 countries, 1 indicator, the correct form is outputted. This will also include test 9 and test 10. Test 9 was outputting the correct axes and the link to the correlation site working, and test 10, the life expectancy and inflation GDP deflator is outputted with a correlation value. And we have here a correlation value. The correlation link site. Again, works perfectly. And with inflation GDP deflator, that also works perfectly with both the axes being labelled as well as the description being provided for the indicator. Test 11, 12 and 13. We'll be ensuring that the option of 2 indicators and 1 year outputs the correct form, the axes are labelled correctly, and we will be using both the indicator's life expectancy and inflation GDP deflator to output a graph with a correlation value. As we have here, correlation value, and the site works again, with both axes being labelled and 2 indicators both being described. Test 14, 15 and 16. We're selecting the top 10 HDI and ensuring the correct form is outputted, ensuring the axes are labelled correctly, and our test data will be the life expectancy again and the inflation GDP deflator, which we'll check to ensure outputs correlation value within the required range of -1 and 1. Description for the indicators, a valid correlation value, both axes have been labelled correctly, and correlation site works perfectly. Test 17, 18 and 19. This is for option 5, which is the bottom 10 HDI, ensuring the form is outputted correctly, axes are labelled, and with our test data outputting a valid correlation value. A valid correlation value, both axes are labelled, and 2 descriptions for the indicators. And as for the correlation site, again, it's the same one outputted correctly. Test 20. Testing the correlation formula works. So I've selected 2 indicators, life expectancy and inflation GDP deflator, for the top 10 HDI in 2016. On this calculator I have loaded in the values, and I'm just going to calculate the answer to them. Value being 4 decimal places, minus 0.2597. And as we test over here, for one country top 10 HDI, we go to 2016, life expectancy, and inflation GDP deflator. We have minus 0.25968, but to 4 decimal places that is still minus 0.2597. As we can see, the graphs of match and how they've outputted the data shows this has been done correctly. And that's my testing for the World Development Indicators project. Thank you for watching.